That was Windows 96 100 Mornings, track 13. And these are the JBL Studio 580's and the matching 550p subs. 3 of them. We'll talk about why later. There's a lot to talk about why. First, let me say that this is a limited review. I haven't fully tried these with better amplifiers, different rooms, different things, including because it's sort of a limited review of both the towers and these subs. That just to say that for most of you shouldn't buy them. Most situations you shouldn't buy these, and especially don't do this. But let's talk about. But first, let's cut to a video of past me talking about why I call this thing Billy and why it looks like that. Or he, I guess. Let's get his pronouns correct. It's me from earlier before I turn the equipment on. So let's do that. Let's turn that on. You wait for it to, I'll see this before I had the other light turned on. By the way, sponsored by Film Tech Depot, because where else would I have learned to do something like this? It's their fault, they did it. They made me this way. Just joking around. So anyways, the next thing you do is, once it warms up, or does all this clicking, you shoot in the sleep timer all the way to 2 hours, just in case I fall asleep. It's hot. That's what we're going to talk about right now. Turn the TV on. And then you take this piece of cardboard off. I'll probably do that first thing. I'll go and put it in another room, but whatever, I'll just put it there for now. And there's Billy. Billy has overheating problems. I've talked about this before, but you see all this circuitry? These circuit boards were like, oh no, it was these ones. These were like sitting on top of the heat sinks. They were like screwed into it. So it already doesn't have cooling fans. Then it gets really, really hot. Even if you're not driving 6 ohm speakers, it does have a tendency to get really, really hot. So they have part of it covered up when this one just like goes over it. So it's like kind of blocking a little bit too. No cooling fans. All the guts are just shoved in there. Like there's no cooling fans. It's got all this stuff shoved way close together. And some normie is gonna put this in under their TV where it's got this much room of height above the metal grate, and it's just gonna overheat and die. And it just goes in a landfill. So we dig up all the minerals from the earth, we build things with it, and then it self-destructs and we put it back in the earth. And that's what Billy is. Billy is a straight to landfill product, because after I'm done with Billy, I'm going to have to demolish him and just take him to an electronics recycling center, because I can't sell this to somebody. I wouldn't even give this to somebody. It's an overheating hazard. Even with my enhancements that do make it run better and sound better, because it's not being like, you know. You have to do this to it, because it has such bad overheating problems. And who wants this? Who wants... You shouldn't be driving, your speakers with something like, these Studio 5 series with something like this in it, which we'll talk about. This segment's gone on far too long, just to mostly demonstrate what the room looks like when I'm normally listening. I normally just have it like this. See, when I'm sitting here, the film blocks out the light from the nightlight bulbs. And with human eyeballs, you can see pretty good. But to the camera's point of view, you can't really see anything. It's a nice, chillaxed environment. And let's have one last look at my light bulbs before we go back to normal linear recording. So that's the first thing I should get to, is that's why this is kind of a limited review, because this speaker series, it demands that you have something better than Billy to drive the speakers with. This is just kind of barely good enough to do it, but you shouldn't be using this anything but just temporarily. I wouldn't even recommend buying one of these. Like I said, it's got such bad overheating problems. But they don't overheat as badly as the 590's with it. That's one minor factoid. The 590's, they're almost like have a built-in subwoofer driver, the way it's a 2.5 way, and the bass drivers in the 590's have a coupling, the kind of magnet where they glue it on, where it's opposing magnetic fields. It's like they use it for like sort of semi-video shielding, but it also like it does something to the magnetic field. They use that for something, I guess, like subwoofer drivers have them. Anyways, though, these don't have that. Oh wait, I think they do have that. Let's peer into it. Do they have that? Oh yeah, they do have those extra magnets. But the thing they don't have is the ventilation hole in the back of the magnet. These and the center channel, which we'll talk about a little bit, which is bad. It's bad. The center channel and these are the only ones in this speaker series that don't have a hole in the back of the magnet. And that could cause some issues, like they seem like the drivers get a little more fatigued with bass music, like I was playing some kind of bass music, and it sounded like the drivers were actually kind of suffering. When I was doing the same thing on the 590's, you have bass, as long as, because eventually that would just, pretty quickly it would overheat, but as long as it wasn't overheating, it would drive the 590's fine. But with these, I swear at one point it sounded like the drivers were fatiguing because the heat has nowhere to go. And then here's the other thing we talked about a lot is these speakers really needed to be a 2.5 way and they're not, and it makes it bad. And I was thinking about making it where it says, hey, it's a zany YouTube video where like take a drink every time I talk about how it should have been a 2.5 way or mention it in some way. But don't do that because then you'll have to get your stomach pumped. Because that's the major thing we're going to be talking about. Hold on, I need to take a break and take a drink. So this light, I just have this extra light bulb. I like screw in all the way when I want more lighting. It's kind of shining me in the face and it's hot, but I'm too lazy to engineer something better. And this needs to get done because I got to use Billy for something, and it'd be stupid to just have these sitting here with nothing powering them and then just whatever. Other things coming. I'm going to put these as my surround channels in there, which by the way will be warping in there once in a while, I guess. What was I going to say though? Oh yeah. In case you didn't understand from the intro, the Yamaha next to Billy has been replaced with this. It's got jumper pins. See, like, the jumper pins would come out of here, and that's the changing the volume and the radio in this, and the various inputs, all its little brain, that gets outputted out the back, and through jumper pins goes into the amp. So I took the jumper pins out, and now the variable volume output from the DAP just goes straight in there. So that doesn't do anything. I usually like turn the dimmer off and turn the volume. The volume doesn't do anything now, but it just turned to 0, so I know, my brain knows that does nothing. And then you just control your volume and everything through this. As long as you don't turn up too much. It's much improved sound from the Yamaha next to Billy, because it's just easier to I'll put it in the description what those all are. I don't remember the numbers. That's Billy, and then there was the Yamaha next to Billy, and now this is the Bust by Amp next to Billy. Anyways, it powers these. So I always like to have a companion speaker with... See, that's the thing I like to have my like flagship speakers at the time, whichever flagship speakers I'm using, and then have speakers with different tonal characteristics with their own everything. So if I wanted to, I could be playing two things at once. Or if, I'm listening to something on System A, and I'm hearing things, and I want to have more. I'm like, is that speaker? Is that a thing from the speaker, or is that in the recording? What better way than to have a whole nother system to listen to it again, and you can have greater perspective, and like, okay, I'm hearing this. Oh, you have a different perspective on some of these mixes you hear. And then there's just people walking around, and they have a phone speaker, and they would like walk with the phone in their hand like this, and it's just blaring out a little speaker on here on this rectangle phone, and they think that's music, and it's like, I cry, like you've never heard music in your life. You don't have to do retarded stuff like this, but you can do a lot better for really cheap, and you can actually hear music. But anyways, what was I gonna say? So one of the reasons I have kept these set up like this is because I wanted to have it in the review so I could show the whole lower frequency section of the speaker is like the same size as the drivers of a whole nother speaker. To illustrate, that's the 8-inch driver, obviously. But still, it's a lot. And the problem is these are not a 2.5 way. See, a 2.5 way if this was 2.5 way, these would be crossover at 1500 hertz like normal. But then this bottom one just plays like 400 hertz and below, or like 250 hertz and below, or something like that. Sometimes just like 900 hertz and below, you know, something like that, where it's not playing up as high frequency as this. And that way, see, when it's just the guy that's like say this is a dude, it's about as tall as a dude, you know, that's his face. His talkie bits are coming from, you know, one spot. It's not like he has extra mouths on his chest that would make the whole, like, no lower frequency. That goes up to 1500 hertz. So it's the mid basses and various parts of your voice. So it makes it sound kind of derpy for male vocals. So I think it may have been a little less noticeable for female vocals, I guess. But even, you know, women still kind of will have kind of bass with different guttural, especially if it's like OTEP or something. Everybody has like little bits of kind of deeper bass frequencies coming out of their certain kind of whatever. We're getting off track here. Humans make variety of noises, right? But when it's on a 2.5 way, it sounds more natural because it doesn't have like a. These they sound like they've got like a. It's got like a big belly. It's with the sound you got to get, and plus you got to get them. I'll explain that. Oh, well, we better talk about that. So hold on, let me cut in some pictures of the way I first had these set up. So the other aspect that's actually kind of bad about these not being in 2.5 ways is that's why they have to be up here. It's because it's not just like this. It has awkwardness from there's so much being so much mid and low frequencies coming from that big ass spot there. It also causes like harshness. So when these speakers were where they were before, right? I was sitting kind of closer to them. Just because I didn't feel like moving whatever I had going on there at the time, right? And the compression driver is like right at ear level, and they would be kind of harsh sounding. But there's this one time I was listening to music, and it was like it was making my head throb, and I thought I was going to die. And I'm like, okay, I got to lift the speakers up. So then I had them like lifted up. I still was like sitting closer, and I should have documented all that more, but. TJ, Stereo Bargain File, he suggested that you put them in like a 9-foot triangle, which is about what this is. I could make them a little bit bigger. Perhaps I'll do that later in the video. But I'm in brain fart. Okay, the moral of the story I was trying to get to there is basically these speakers are more like a real left, center, right cinema speaker. They need to be far away from you and spread out like this. When it's like this, and lift it up like this, it does kind of minimize the not being a 2.5 way problem, but it still kind of sounds like it kind of has like a big belly because of the way it gives you so much. I suppose I could take them outside sometime and try them like farther away, but then I wouldn't be able to make them very loud with those little Dayton amps. I don't know. I'd like to like rent a big room or something, get better amps, and then try all the different size towers of these I have, which I do have, by the way. Like I said, this is just a limited review, but check it out. When you get up like this, and you stand up here, it's different. Like, with the 590's, like, bam, I could get up. I used to have the couch further forward so I could stand on a thing behind the couch, but we'll just do it live here. I'm standing on the couch. So I could stand up here like this, and they would sound good. And then I come down, you know, and they sound good. Go all around the room, different which ways. You could probably like have a 2-story room and go up there in your second loft up there or whatever, you know, a bigger room. With the 590's, it just sounds good everywhere. But with these, when you change your height, it makes it different. And like when you get on ear level with them, they're really harsh because of just all this going on here. And then when I had them in the first setup where they were like on the ground and ear level, it sounded like, I swear, it sounded like there was a third driver that there was mid bass coming out of on the, you know, below this one. And I'm like, damn, I was That's what I wondered about them if they would if I would not like them not being a 2.5 way, and it's like yes, they really needed to be a 2.5 way. These are the worst speakers in the series, I'd say, because if you get the 570's, hold on, let's warp into the other room, and we're in here now. Okay, so if you get the 570's. They do not have this problem of needing to be a 2.5 way. They sound like a single, like 10 or 12 inch driver or something like that. It sounds like a single driver. Well, they probably would kind of have issues with like extreme ups and downs, but I don't think so. Like in a small room like this, they're fine being on the ground. Oh, this is the way this is, by the way. It's kind of like a McLaren F1. You know, one person sits here, and then other people get to sit in the bitch seats like this. And then that's kind of close, but that's okay because these are not harsh when you're close, which is another thing we'll get to. Yeah, like spend less money, get these, and they're easy to put on a stand, and they work better without a stand if you don't want to use a stand. The bigger subwoofers of these subwoofers, by the way, which you gotta do this to them, and put this stuff in between the bricks and underneath this one, and make them staggered so it pushes the weight, so it pushes down on the plate amp so it doesn't rattle. They don't rattle now because of this. I just could put a black fabric over, but they gotta be staggered like that. They look kind of cool, like all like, because if you put them forward, boom, it would all like, and put the grill on, it would all be like uniform. It would look kind of cool, but it needs to be like this to make the plate amp, the weight be on the plate amp so it doesn't rattle. Oh my god, that's not what this video is about. And then the 590's, they don't need a stand. They're only a little bit more bigger and expensive. They have way fucking deeper bass response, and you can sit close to these and they're not harsh. Like you can have these close together in near field, and they're like a warm jacuzzi. They're awesome because this 2.5 way, and they're better engineered. The horn, I swear, the 580's, it's like there's some kind of geometry thing where it's like it's not kosher, bro. These are so smooth and wonderful when you're close, but oh, let's warp back in there and make my point. Yeah, so I did have these like near field. I had them on stands. Before I had these, I had them on stands where they weren't this tall, but they were a little bit taller. You know, I had them on where we're about like, you know, there is your level like I would like. Because that's the way, like the 590's like to be where they're ear level like that. These are about ear level where like about like that is ear level on this couch. And I had them on stands, which they were like two plastic stands that were like one stand for this side, one, whatever. That's how I maybe I'll put a picture of that in later. But trying them in near field like that, they just don't work. You can't. The whole point of these speakers is that you can sit close to them and it's not harsh, but these are not like that. These need to be for like, maybe I could recommend these for if you were gonna have behind the screen, like a really big screen, so it'd be really far away, and you'd have them stacked up on something behind the screen. Like if you could afford to do something like that, because that's the thing about these speakers is you're gonna have to spend more time, more money, take up more of your space, more and more and more and more and more, when you could just buy the 590's or just buy the 570's. These are kind of like a stupid in between. Like the bass is like the 570's is like juicy and awesome. Watch the Deus review. He describes that pretty spot on. The way they're smaller and they move quicker and they're like juicier or something. And the 590's, they've just got like and these and the 590's they're kind of juicy too. They're kind of like but these are kind of like more like normal-ish kind of bass response. Some people might like them because of that. Some people might be willing to spend more time and money to get them and because they do something harsh when the compression driver is ear level. You should at least be aware of that. Like it could have been because of the weed food, but it was making my brain and it was making veins in my brain pulsate. It was making veins in my vein pulsate like I didn't know I had when these were at ear level. Hold on, I gotta turn the air conditioning on. Let's talk about these stupid subs for a little while. In a nutshell, These 550p subs, they are like a multimedia subwoofer for like your PC kind of thing, but like a really big, heavy, and nice one. Because, well, look, if I move my seating up further, and it was like a smaller room and I was sitting closer with, obviously not these because they don't like to be close and stuff like that, then it'd be kind of okay. But let's talk about why there's 3 of them. So I bought a pair of them when they were like on sale for $210. Usually 200 or whatever. I'm like, whatever, I got the money. I bought a pair of them. And I sat them in this other room here. And I broke them in for 50 hours. And then I took the Studio 220's and I hooked them up and played them. Crossed over 80 hertz. And I just ran all that for like 50 hours. So I wanted to put another 50 hours or so more breaking in those speakers. Because I want to do those speakers versus the 230's, Studio 230's. And be like, was my bitching justified about these not having bass? You know, so broke them in more. So then we're going to do that whole epic saga later. So I broke them in and I took them in here. I put these, I immediately put them in here and used them to lift the speakers up like that, right? And then, but the thing is, I knew that it was a bad idea to have subwoofers like this. I know that's bad and it's just as bad as I thought it would be, but, well, it's worse than I thought it would be. But it's mostly because I just wanted to have 2 of them. Because deal with different review things, and I wanted to have a video where we'd have all these speakers and have one speaker with the grill off, one with the grill on, and have the whole series. Because I got 2 of everything in this series. I want to do a video someday. We'll have them all. So I want to have 2 of them, obviously, for that, right? So I'm playing them. All right. Well, let's play a clip of that. I think I have a clip of that. Let's put it in. See, hear it rattling over there? Oh, it did pretty good. It just rattled a little bit.
I'm not sure for
Last time I tried that, it seemed like it rattled more. So there's a clip of that movie, which I did get to see on 35mm. Could have saw on 35mm in a better theater, but no, we're going to keep sending the film format to crappy theaters. When we have nicer film theaters, we can be showing it, but we won't because we're trying to just ruin a whole industry. We don't want people to see that it's better in a nicer theater and has 5.1 surround sound, you know, and stuff. But anyways, what was I saying? Yeah, it's like that was a clip from that. I think because I'm too lazy to, past me is too lazy to know if I had that one there or not, or however many clips of that I showed. But anyways, they rattle, and I was like, maybe I kind of ruined these by breaking them in for that long. First of all, because it's a sealed cabinet and it's very self-destructive to its own amplifier and the way the amplifier is screwed in and all. And then, you know, slam these on top of the. I'm like, did I ruin these? I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do. And then I saw they're on sale again, and this time for like $190. I'm like, oh, okay. So you wait for me to buy 2 of them, then you make it cheaper than it normally is, right? On this, so I think I bought this one for like $190 or something like that. I didn't want to do it. I'm like, well, the whole point of me having the damn things is because I really love this speaker series, and I want to talk about what's good, what's bad about the whole series, because it's something I'm passionate about and stuff. So I bought this one. I put it here, which is a better position. It does indeed work better. But let's talk about that. It's, like I said, it's not for like a room, certainly not for a room this size. If you're going to have a room this size, which is like, I think it's 150 inches this way and like 160 inches this way with a closet here, so there's extra cubic feet back there. It can't handle a room this big. Even if you bought 2 or 3 of them, whatever, that were, you know, brand new. By the way, if you buy these, just buy it and just gently use it. Don't worry about breaking it in. Just don't worry about it. It's fine. Because you don't want to be hammering on it too hard anyways. It's just a little toy. Well, I wouldn't call it a toy. It's not quite that. It's just a multimedia subwoofer, though. It's not meant for well, the bigger ones, they could probably handle a room like this okay. But we'll talk about those another time. And those also probably, like, don't worry about trying to get those. This speaker series, don't worry about, like, getting the matching subwoofers, because you may or may not like the acoustic suspension. Because it's different. It's not like it's not like a real movie theater. All real movie theaters, they use a bass reflex sub, because just money is the name of the game, honey. And to have acoustic suspension subwoofer in a movie theater has to be way more powerful, way more expensive. Run for your electrical bill to be able to handle the enclosure being sealed. They make them bass reflex to the theater because it's efficient. And it kind of makes it have a wall. It makes it have sort of kind of sound to it. And if you crave that sort of thing, this isn't going to have that. It's just kind of, and it's hard to explain, but it's kind of better for music too. But here's the thing too: is it does not like being even crossed at 80 hertz. It wants to be crossed like it only, preferably like 50 hertz and below only. 60 hertz, you don't want to have it crossed higher than like 60 hertz. And that's what, well, it's in direct, these are in direct mode right now because I rarely even use them because we'll talk about reasons later. But let's talk about the center channel a little bit. Let's say you get the matching center channel. You make the wrong decision. Just get 3 of the 570's. Turn the, like I have in there. And if you don't like having the vertical light, most people just have the TV way up to the wall. Just get the triple 570's, put them on the floor, bam, you're done. It looks dope. It's going to sound so much better than a pair of these with this crappy center channel. It's going to sound so much better than many other things. Just do that. Just do it. Turn the middle one sideways if you have to. Because, spoiler alert, this one with the MTM, I don't even want... See, it's speaker, right? It's the compression horn. It's got drivers on both sides. These being, spoiler alert, these being an MTM speaker, it makes it bad. Someone said it was like it's extra crunchy, and I agree, it's bad. It's like when you put this in your system, the matching center channel to this series, it defeats the purpose of having a classic stereo system because it adds grunginess and nastiness into your system. Which I'm curious, when I put these as the surround channels in there, put the 590's back in here, I'm curious if these will add nastiness to the sound field because of not being a 2.5 way thing. Because the 590's as surround channels, they kick ass. They're so immersive. By all means, buy 7 of the 590's and or buy 5 of the 590's, like bam, bam, 590's, 3 in the front, and then ones in the corners. Have ones in the corners sitting, more forward. It'll be so, and like, I'd jack the 590's up on something so the horn's like up there. And it'll give you such an immersive sound field in your surround channel. They work great in there. I'm going to do a video about that at some point. Let's talk about Billy. See, that's the reason I normally use these in direct mode. So I have it calibrated and stuff. I manually made these small, and then it's crossed at 60 hertz. Well, these are just unplugged right now. We're just using that because they're bad. When you try to use them like this, they're bad. It's just no. It works better with that. I was gonna try the PS28 subwoofer right there just to try against this, but I just don't care enough. I'll probably, once I move Billy to do the other thing out somewhere else I gotta do with it, I'm probably gonna set up some different speakers in here and maybe use this receiver on something. I don't know. Stuff's getting interchanged. But anyways, the DSP on this. That's what, I'm gonna try this with surround sound somewhere else on to see if I still hate the DSP or whatever. But the DSP on this, when it's crossed with a sub, there was this one album. I think it was Florida Skyline. Not the green tapes, but the other one that's really good. I don't know. I'll put it in the description. But I was listening to that album. It's the one that the cover is like pink, and it's the title of the album starts with an A. I don't know. Maybe I'll play a clip of it later. But listen to that with it is kind of good for music. The way it's got kind of, I wouldn't say it's even very good for like low frequency effects because it's like it's like it doesn't have it's like it doesn't have enough internal airspace to function as a sealed subwoofer. It needs like for a bigger room. It doesn't have enough internal airspace, it seems like. You try to play certain low frequencies, and it doesn't like high frequencies either. That's the thing. That's the other thing I was alluding to. So if you use it with this, you're going to have it across to like 80 hertz. And guess what? The vocals, all that stuff that's being crossed at 80 hertz with the center channel, because you could have these crossed at 60 with with one of these, and the center channel crossed at 80, which it has to be. And with the center channel crossed at 80, it's gonna make the subwoofer have to play those high frequencies that it does not like playing, because when you play high frequencies through it, like when you play 100 hertz or higher, it starts to really like, it doesn't like those high frequencies. It makes it go and have resonances. It doesn't like it. So that's the main reason I wouldn't recommend this, is because you have to have where all your channels are crossed at 60 hertz or below, preferably 50. And chances are, if you are spending enough money where you can have big enough speakers that are crossed at 50 hertz, you could probably just afford a more chunkier, better subwoofer anyways. But for like $190, oops, I mean SpaceBucks. I say SpaceBucks for other reasons too. But yeah, so for 190 SpaceBucks to get one of these. If you have kind of a smaller room and you want to like try a sealed box subwoofer, and the third thing you should maybe have is like, I might want to have, if I don't like it, I could deamp it and use it as a car subwoofer. If you have those like 3 criteria and you're like, yeah, it'd certainly be worth it to spend that amount of money to get one of these. So I've heard people use them as, like, some people have made them into a ported, like, took the amp out, put like a backplate on, made it ported, made into like a car subwoofer. What I've heard is like you could somehow give it a little bit more cubic space inside and then make it ported. It can work really good in a car. Or use it, keep it as a sealed box subwoofer. Wouldn't be too bad of a car subwoofer. At this point, I was thinking when I'm done with these, I should just part them out. Keep the plastic feet as spares, because they use the same plastic feet. All the Studio 5 series speakers use the same plastic feet. Yeah, deamp them. Keep the plastic feet as spare parts. Take all the parts and sell them on eBay. Just keep the cabinets as speaker stands. I don't know. I'll probably just give them away or something or trade them for something. I want to give one of them away after I'm done using them to like someone who wants to use it as a car subwoofer. Just give it to them, but like keep the plastic feet. I'll keep in the plastic feet, even though I'll give these away. By the way, like if you end up with one of them, I'll link them to you. Yeah, I took your plastic feet. You got a free subwoofer, but I got the plastic feet for spare parts because they're a pain. Because you like buy one of these speaker series from someone on eBay, and then the fucking feet arrive all broken off. When you ask them multiple times to remove the plastic feet, take your little hand with a screwdriver and unscrew the wood screws, and put them in bubble wrap, and where they won't smash the drivers or anything in the package. And how hard is that? Oh, apparently people who are selling like 5-figure freaking speakers and stuff like that, they package your thing like that you buy. It's like, really, you sell all this expensive stuff, and you can't just take the plastic feet. What kind of business are you running here? Maybe you should like be a chicken farmer. Maybe you should do something else with your life if you don't have the common sense to unscrew the plastic feet off the speaker when you're sending it in not factory packaging. Like, everybody knows that. Everybody knows that the plastic feet break out on these speakers really easy. So yeah, if you're selling these on eBay or something like that, remove the plastic feet. If you don't have even if you do have the stock packaging, just remove the plastic feet, put them in a baggie, and put it somewhere in the packaging where here's the screws, here's the plastic feet. You could even say, oh, this foot and screw are from this side and this part, so it goes specifically back where it was. If you think the customer's going to be OCD, like that's what I would do. And then you got people on eBay where they take a picture of, but it's like blurry. It's like this is the picture, like this. That's the speaker. It's like the picture is like literally like this. It's a picture. And it's like, what? That's your picture? You have infinite ammo on your rectangle phone to just take picture. And that's the best picture. You could like teach yourself photography. Even if you have access to the internet, you've got infinite ammo. You can learn photography and post a clear picture of. Anyways, I have pet peeves, otherwise known as severe psychological hatreds. Oh god, let me take a break. I need some water. So yeah, the 580's, I just do not like them as much as the 590's and the 570's. They lose a certain kind of magic that the 590's have, and they don't have the simplicity and convenience and the niceness of the 570's. Is like having like this is probably the best you could have them. But still, it's like there's a certain something where it's just like it needs to be in 2.5 way. I can't say it enough times. Well, let's talk about the these are the JBL N38's, by the way. Wait, no, they're the N28-2s. I don't really like these speakers. They have what do you call that? There's a Yoga Block 100. The thing I like about these speakers is they're crossed at 4,000 hertz, and the way the bass driver handles bass frequencies and the mid bass frequencies so well, it's like it's great for vocals. Like I was saying, how even kind of a squeaky voice person, they have certain kind of the capability for certain kind of oomph kind of noises coming from their, you know, meat sack body, like we all do. A driver like this, it better reproduces vocals. These are like, a lot of times I find myself listening to these because these like are not a 2.5 way. They kind of just go like after a while, and then I like to listen to these. These have a little bit more sparkle because this tweeter, it's like titanium coated plastic sort of thing. They're not like as super harsh as like a full-on metal dome tweeter, but they're got more sparkle than this TNX plastic one-piece compression driver. They have a little more sparkle, but they're a little bit more crappier. They're a little bit more blurry, but they got a little bit more sparkle, and the way they handle the vocals is great. I'd like to get the 3-way version. I will have the 3-way version of that's a whole video way back on this channel. Which I want to get a super nice pair of these and a super nice pair of the N28 originals, and then get my switcher box and slip between them. Like one of these, the negative terminal is like, let's talk about that. One of the terminals broke off because these live with Bimmy and the way he destroys electronics. So one day, one of the negative terminals on one of them broke off, and I just had an alligator clip sawed onto the wire for a while there. But eventually, I gotta fix this, so I had these DIY speakers from way back in the day that were never finished. So I took one of the negative terminals off of those, and they didn't quite fit right. It wasn't quite right. I don't want to take them apart right now, but the crossover and terminal situation on these speakers is bad. I'd like to have them upgraded by someone who knows what they're doing, and just fix all that and have better crossover, and then they'd be really good. They could take on studio monitors. They'd be really good speakers at that point, because you can listen to them and they sound really good. You can hear the slightly crappier components and the stuff in the signal path impeding what the speaker is capable of. You can hear it, man. But anyways, the speaker terminals are so, it's hard to explain without taking it apart, but they're really stupid. And I had the other one in there, and it was like, basically it's whole if you put in bare wire, it's supposed to go like that, but then it was like sideways because it didn't fit in there the right way or something, because it's whatever. And it just drove me nuts. So then I had these other JBL they're JBL N24-2s, some busted ones. So I figured I'd take the negative terminal off of those, right? It fit right? No, it doesn't. It's different. And that was really frustrating. It fit worse than the crappy one that was on there. So, and it like kind of has a little bit of an air leak now too. So that's in the back of my mind. Like, oh, it's not perfect now. Well, let's talk about these some more. Like, I used to have these in my living room. They were very good TV speakers because the way they handled vocals really well. Like, I think they handle vocals better than the 3-way. The way the 4,000 hertz and below is coming from this just one driver. It's better and simpler as a 2-way. And they don't make a speaker like this anymore. That's like, it's kind of a larger bookshelf speaker with a 2-way 8-inch driver that's front ported. They don't make that anymore. That's why I can never get rid of these ever. So I had them in my living room like that, like with a 100-watt audio source amp, and then they had the left-right output of the amp go into a subwoofer, the PS28 subwoofer, and had the subwoofer play up to like 70 hertz or something like that. It was like blended. It was kind of like a 2.5 way basically. And the subwoofer worked so perfect with these speakers. like it sounded like they was meant to go together because they're all 8 inches. So it's like have another 8 inch that was like that. That subwoofer, the cone is made of CMMD. It's like a aluminum composite material, and they work together so well. I kind of missed that setup. I got a bunch of different. That's a whole mythology of different living room setups I've had, and I got the one now where I've got big speakers on my credenza, and I've got JBL go-tos in the corners on the floor there in the corners, like so they shoot up in the wall like that, and it works really well. It's really immersive. But I've tried to make the video 3 times, and I hated it every time, and I deleted it. And then, because it's such a good system for so cheap, I want to like do a good job of it and like show how cheap and easy. Well, it's a little bit complicated, like Rick and Morty, weird push the buttons, all this stuff, but it's like cheap and convenient and less invasive and all this stuff all at once. And my God, man, you can have such a good surround system for movies for so cheap, and you can enjoy movies with surround sound for so cheap, and that's why I like to do videos. I mean, I'm screwing it up. It's a ranchy video. If you're watching this, all you need to know is just don't buy these and don't buy these. Buy the 570's or the 590's or the 530's just for a desk, which I need to do a video about that someday. And that's why I haven't done a video about the 530's, because I want to do it right and show people you buy this, you hook it up this way, and it's like the best desktop speaker ever. You're done, bro. The best desktop speaker ever. Like the 530's, the bookshelf versions of these, they're like the end game. You know, desk speakers on my desk, multimedia speakers, the ultimate version of that. The ones with the way I have mine set up. Oh, let's look. Because I have this amp and this DAC, and then very specific instructions on how to put it all together and stuff. And there's a cacti, and it's like, yes, it's excellent. It kicks so much ass all the time. When I'm doing boring data entry stuff, I can blast my music. It's not harsh. It's got clear imaging somehow, even though this bad room acoustics here, it's got really bad ring. This part of the room has a really bad ring, but somehow these speakers sound so good on this desk. And this amp is a Class D amp, since supposedly there's issues with that. It's chopping up the sound, but they sound clean to me. It sounds clean to me. It sounds clean. It gives the speakers the juice they need. Because every time I try to use these speakers with a normal, an amp like that, they don't go loud enough. It makes it overheat. There's not enough power. It doesn't work. You put on this Class D amp, it's a SMSL SA98E. It makes the speakers have juice. It makes them work. They need to be close to the wall like this, because it does the thing with the port where the port needs to kind of like have an air brake on the wall, because if you don't have it close enough, they chuff, and it just works. This formula, the way I have it, it works so good. That was why I haven't changed it in like 3 years. I want to try other desk speakers, but these work so good, it helps my workflow when I'm doing my stuff. It allows me to listen to crappy YouTube videos that sound like crap and have it still sound okay, and then listen to hi-fi stuff and it sounds amazing. It does everything well. It's the ultimate Swiss Army knife of everythingness. Anyways, back to the other room. Alright, so let's do something different. What we're going to do is we're going to try powering different speakers here. So what we're going to do is, let's try it this way first. So first we're going to use the output that would normally go to these 580's are biamped, right? What we're going to do is, for funsies, we're going to take the power that will go to the tweeter, unplug it, and plug these N28, what are they? N28 2s into it. So we'll be playing these with like bass assistance from these. Then we're going to try it, and we're going to do some, recording samples, and then we're going to try to listen to it hooked up like that, where it's powering these and then powering just the horn on that, and provide some sound samples and talk about it. It'll be fun. So let me do that. I'm going to start listening. Okay, I have it hooked up where these are the main left and right, and then just the bass drivers on these provide support, and the horns on these do nothing. See, the wires for the horns are just hanging in there. So we're gonna use the same track for all the different demos. Like, we're gonna record. So I'm gonna listen with that for a while and provide a sound demo right now, and then I'm gonna listen with it the other way with the horn coming in with these, and use the same song. It was the song for this next different. And then when we're done doing that, we're gonna go back to just. By the way, the receiver's in direct mode, so it just plays full range bass through both outputs of the biamp. So it doesn't matter which one, as long as there's a left wire going to the right thing, it's fine. Like it's not using the subwoofer. It's just sending full range signal to whatever, and I can hook it up to whatever. So okay, this is track 5 off the Vigilante game disc, which it's track 4 when you import it because of reasons. That's confusing, but that's what it is. We're recording. Hold on, we'll set the volume the same. We'll do the volume the same for each of them. We'll set the volume at, set it negative 9.0 decibels. So every sound sample we do comparing, and I'm not going to put all the different sound samples. I'll put the sound sample when I begin, starting to talk about what it sounds like. So I'm going to play the sound sample and stop the recording, then start the recording after I've listened for a while, talk about it, then we'll start it with the same sound sample of it doing, like that, and then talk about it and so on. Okay. Playing the song now. So I've been listening a wee bit, and it's given me some food for thought on the issues with these. So the problem is, like, speaking of using the speaker normally, is the bass drivers. They kind of the crossover network for the bass drivers. It's kind of cheaper than the one for the horn, so it lets through like a lot of high frequencies. Like if you listen with just the bass drivers on these, it kind of images. It's able to produce frequencies higher than 1500 hertz. See, ideally you want your low drivers to phase out, not phase out, but like fade out, and then your high frequency fade in, so there's as little crosstalk as possible. These speakers not being a 2.5 way, it creates way more crosstalk between the horn and the woofers, and it makes it kind of have a cheese graters kind of like kind of effect. And it's kind of happening with these, because it was kind of like giving it, surprisingly, it was enhancing the imaging a little bit. The bass is like, I like the bass like this, because you got that, the Zen 28.2s, they got a pretty strong bass response. They get down to 50 hertz. They got a nice strong womp to them. It's got like extra womp because it's got the reverse, it's got the rear firing port kind of doing its womp, and then it's got a special kind of womp to it, but it kind of introduces the same kind of problem. It introduces kind of cheese graters and not muddiness exactly, but like it's doing a really poor, it's making high frequencies, but like doing, it's basically just crap leaking through the drivers, because the crossover network does not do a very good job of filtering out. It does a good enough job, but like a lot of stuff gets through, and it kind of introduces harshness. It's kind of like it's cross-talking a lot with, the mid basses and everything that this is trying to boost. But the tweeters, they kind of just shine out of all that. It's kind of interesting sound. All right, let's switch it the other way and listen that way. Oh wait, there's some other things I want to say first that I want to clarify. Like that, like I sort of said before, but like the problem with the 580's is you have to use them far away like this in a 9-foot triangle. But the thing about that is this speaker series is kind of inefficient. I mean, and you can kind of cheat that a little bit by just having the speakers closer, and that way if you use something like Billy to power them, like with the 570's when I had them near field here, I was like bam, right there, right sitting right there, and it is beautiful. It's adequately powerful enough to power them. It sounded really good. I was overall pretty happy with it. Billy did a pretty good job of that. And it's because I was close. These can't get close. They got to be far away. And because they're far away, when you want it loud, you really got to crank the power. And if you're using something like Billy, it's just going to overheat. And it's going to sound like crap because it's overheating. And it's going to distort. So if you want to use the 580's like this, you have to, which is what you have to have them literally. You have to have them that far away. At the very end of the video, we're going to try taking them off the stands, putting them where that is at ear level, but like I'll put them down and farther away, and that'll be the last part of the video, I guess, to try them like that. Let's see what else. Oh yeah, I tried them with the grills because these have the grills where you take this horn plate out, you put the grills in, right? Because what I was going to try to do was have it with the grills on, but like put padding to cover up the bottom woofer so it would sort of be like more of a 2.5 way, and that way the grill would kind of cover up some of the harsher frequencies coming out of this too. But I tried it with just the grills on. Admittedly, when I got them in the pack, unboxed them, the grills come on the speaker obviously, and like the 570's and the 590's, the grills seem, even when they were brand new, the grills they seemed like they didn't fit quite right. Oddly enough, the center channel and the 530's, the disc ones, the speaker grills fit those fine. You can leave the grills on; they're not going to rattle or anything. But even these, I had the factory grills on. I had taken them off and then put them back on to try them with the grill. Because when I first got them, obviously took the grills off, did all my listening, and then it's like, oh, let's try them with the grills. I put the grills on, so just stock first to try to see if that would even help the 2.5 way problem. And I'm listening. And then the grills rattled. I'm like, well, I'm not going to go any further now because now I know the grills rattle. But if you say you get these, you have these, you notice the problems I'm talking about, what you could do is try doing the thing I said where you cover the bottom driver with some thick fabric and just tape it inside the grill or something, because that's what I was going to try to do. And then get some blue tack and try to finesse it. Get a tone generator and try to get the grills where they rattle, and then when it's playing a tone where the grill is rattling, just kind of try to finesse it and put blue tack in there to stop the grill from rattling. I could have tried all that, but I'm I don't want to go any further. The grills rattle stock, so you're gonna have to do stuff to make them not rattle if you have to have the grills on because you have kids or something. So anyways, we're gonna go back to weirdness mode. We're gonna try the speakers where they're playing these and then playing just the horns. So I'm going to stop the recording, listen, and play that same test track, and then talk about it. Okay, so we're going to be playing the demo track. This is the N28-2s, playing with just the 580 horns. Okay, so let's talk about it. I wish I would have tried this before, because I actually would like to keep it hooked up this way for a while, but Billy needs to go do other things, and I want to take all this down, put other stuff here, so it all needs to end with this recording of this video right now. But I like it. You'd think there would be crosstalk, because this is playing down to 1500 hertz, and this is playing This is crossed to 4,000, so it should be like having frequency interferences with both of what these are trying to produce. But it doesn't. I think it actually kind of sort of sounds better than just the stock 580s by themselves. First thing I was like, wow, it sounds really good, and I just tried to turn it up really loud, but the N28-2s, they can't keep up as well. The horn it sounds fine, but then what are they called? The N28-2s, they're like, they're getting all distorted. They can't like keep up. But as long as you keep it turned down enough, you can go still reasonably high volume. All the 2.5 way, not being a 2.5 way problems are gone. Like, it just sounds like it's like the best of both worlds, just about. I'm surprised how much I like it. It's got kind of enhanced imaging, but it's not like it's rubbing you the wrong way or anything. I'm surprised how like it works good. It's like the speaker is like it's and over like that, where it's like coming from a separate axis or something, where like they both blend together really well, and they play at a very similar volume level. I think the N28-2s play a little bit louder because they're a little more efficient, but they're more distortion prone. But the volume levels are pretty similar, where like it sounds like it's supposed to go together. If you sat me down in front of a blindfold, I'd be like, I wouldn't think it's too. It doesn't even sound like separate speakers like that. I'm surprised like how good it all works. I would love to keep it hooked up like that for a while, but I guess we're gonna hook it up, the speakers back to normal, and do some listening, and then talk about it some more. Okay, we got everything hooked up the way it's supposed to be. We're listening to the 580 towers, just in direct mode, bi-amped, like they were the whole normal part of the review, and we're gonna play the test track again on them. Okay, so let's talk about the 580 some more. Like, after listening to them like the way they normally are, oh yeah, they're more coherent and better than having some other speaker as your bottom half. But they need to be 2.5 way problem kind of return, and some of the kind of grunge. They're more coherent, because nothing's going to be more coherent than the stock speaker usually. But the slight grunge kind of returned from the way the drivers are, the way they kind of spit out more high frequency information than they should. They spit out a little bit of grunge. And like I said, when you kind of move up and down, for some things, when you stand up like this, I kind of like it better. Like, there's more focus on the treble. And then sometimes you sit back down, it's like better down here. It's way different depending on your height. I definitely think it's better to be where you're above it or be where you're below it. We're going to try them at ear level on the ground at the very end here. Hold on, we're going to do the test track again, but everything's going to be the same, but we're going to put on normal stereo mode. So it's going to have DSP, and it's going to have the subwoofer crossed over and all that. So next time the test track plays, it's going to be like that, with the sub, just those and that sub, because these are obviously just like unplugged right now, because I wasn't clear about that. It's just going to be using that sub. So let's talk about running with DSP, which I haven't done that much. I did not do a session of listening to the system in between this step this time for this step. I don't think I need. Well, I've done enough. Like when you listen to it, the DSP has like room correction and all that, right? And it's run the bass to the sub at 60 hertz. It's like you try it. It's like in that was the demo was like just a normal stereo mode with just normal stereo calibrated with this whatever, right? And you listen to music that way, and it seems like it does make it better. It's doing something, but then you put it in direct mode, and there's more bass because these speakers make more bass. They play with when you put it in direct mode, where it's just playing full range to the speakers, no DSP, none of that, direct, no subwoofer. You get more bass with just the natural bass response to the speakers, no equalization, just direct mode. It seems paradoxical, but that's the way that's the way all these speakers are with their subs. I've tried various combinations of those speakers in there with those subs, and the speaker series, these subwoofers, they're a sealed box, so they sort of sound like they have less bass than something that's reported like this. They just like it does. Look, certain things will sound better with the sub. I was listening to some kind of. It was one of BACKWHEN's albums that was like kind of lo-fi and had really deep bass notes. That sounded better with the DSP on using the sub because the really low notes was able, and. But generally, no. Just you put it in direct mode, it's like it sounds better. It's like the DSP in Billy is not very good. I was sort of alluding to that earlier. But then I didn't start talking about it because I'm like mental or whatever. But let's talk about that. These newer receivers, it's not as bad as the Yamaha that was there. No. But it's still like the older like Pioneer THX receivers from the mid 2000s sound better than this. Like, yeah, this is the only way to have lossless 5.1 is to have one that has HDMI like this. But like, I'll just downgrade it to regular DTS anyways and just use an older surround receiver like that as just a surround processor and have external amps. And ta-da! You have a much better sounding system that's much cheaper. That's kind of how my living room system is sort of oriented. And I was going to do something similar in the room in there. So yeah, I'm not a big fan. Like I said, I usually just have it in direct mode. I just like because I never even used the DSP until now. Actually, I would always just have it in direct mode. I never even calibrated it before I had these speakers on here. So let's talk about the 580's versus the 590's and 570's some more. That's the thing about these is they're bigger and more convenient than the 570's. I'll have all three towers in a video someday, but I'm too lazy to do that right now. But anyways, they're bigger and more inconvenient than the 570's, but yet they don't add really anything in bass response. The 570's actually sound like they have more bass. I've used all three in this room. Like this, I think it's sort of a limited review, but still, the problems that these speakers have will not really go away with better stuff to drive them. So I've driven all three of these versions of this tower in here, and they sound the worst out of the three. Like I know I had better results with the 570's than the 590's. Like they don't really add any bass over the 570's. They kind of have less, and the bass that they do have, I kind of feel like the tuning frequency is like wrong. Something's not quite right with it. I do believe they use the same port tubes as the 590's, just there's only one port tube per speaker instead of two. The 590's are up against the wall with the port plugs in right now. Otherwise, I could test that, see if the port plugs are the same. But I'm pretty sure they are. And the 570's have a slightly smaller port plug and port tube in the back in these. And I've tried them with the port plugs. I tried them with the port plugs with the subs. I tried them with the port plugs without the port plugs. I keep coming back to the port plugs are just so you don't get evicted. That's the only reason they include these. It's like we are aware of these speakers. They got bass. So you can put these in them and just turn the volume down more so you don't get thrown out of your apartment or wherever you are. You get thrown out of your cardboard box that you're paying $5,000 a month for on the sidewalk in Los Angeles because they're just like, well, we'll just like enslave homeless people. We'll like take their soul consciousness out of their body and send them into the future as to be like super soldiers, and then they get to come back and live in a sidewalk on a box, and we take all the $5,000 we paid them to have all that trauma, 40 years of trauma, to come back in time, and they live in a sidewalk on the box in Los Angeles, but they get to have 580's, but they can't turn them up too loud, so they have poor... Oh my god, we went on a weird tangent just now. What was I saying, though? Yeah, 580's, that's what this video's about. Just either get the 570's or the 590's. Go all the way and get the big boys. But they kind of seem like they're a little bit better at playing like out wide like this than the other ones. Like they kind of, I wish I had better amplification to trial 3 someday, which hopefully that'll happen. But when I play like rock music and stuff, they seem to do pretty good like that. It's just you gotta get them. That's the thing. Is like, why are you gonna buy bigger speakers for more money when they still need a speaker stand? Which I guess we'll try that in a little bit. But first, let's try this. Let's play music on these. Hold on, I'll get it ready. So let's talk about how to turn on the system that powers the N28s normally. You have this thing, like I explained, how this goes just directly into the amp input of this. So you turn on first and you play like blank noise, like that's just blank noise playing, just a silent track. It's playing, the volume set at 0. Well, still volume set at 1 now, whatever, it's playing. The power supply, turn that on, turns this on, and the next steps are totally optional. What I like to do is dim that and then turn that. This volume knob doesn't do anything now. But I'd like to just turn it to 0, so I know that you have to adjust the volume with this. And by the way, using it this way, this malfunctions less. This used to have problems where, like, the right or left channel will stop working, you have to turn on off. Since its little internal preamp brain is all bypassed, it doesn't seem to have that problem anymore. So anyways, if we take this, we're gonna play. Let's see, we're gonna play Back When, True Escapes, track 3. Turn it up. .45. Now we're gonna play RthR System Memory, track 1. Playing. I'm gonna mix them together. 2 different types of music at the same time. Well, they're kind of similar. They're both electronic. I would play different things, but I don't want to get copyright struck. Turn that one down. Turn that one up a little. Turn that one down some more. That's interesting. Turn the back one up a little bit. Turn the other one up a little bit. And then if you're gonna go, like, if you're using this system only, so we're using this system only now. If you want to go pee or something, see, the problem is that using it this way is it thumps the speaker. So if you turn this on first, and then you turn this on, it thumps the speakers a bunch of times, making the amps activate. You can't just pause it because it thumps the amps when this turns itself off, like the circuitry turns itself off. So what you do is, it's like, oh, I gotta pee. What do I do to avoid thumping the speakers and hurting them potentially? You go to your blank track again. You just start playing a blank track. There you go. Go pee or whatever, and then just select whatever music you want next. Start playing. There you go. Set your volume, and You can set the screen where it turns off after 15 seconds. And boom, just set your volume, put it down, then go sit down. I have better examples of that. Like I'll start playing, like, obviously I picked Deus because it's probably less likely to get copyright struck. I'll start playing like Madonna, and then I'll start playing like Pantera, and like kind of battling them. And sometimes it's beautiful. You get such beautiful, unique experiences. And you know what you could do too is you could crossfade them. Like you're like listening to one album, right? And you kind of just start playing the next thing on the other system and kind of fade it up, and then you fade that, and then you crossfade, and then you're listening on this system, and then you want to listen on this system later. You kind of crossfade it down, crossfade it, playing different music on a different system, which is kind of tricky dicky. When I had the Yamaha there next to Billy, I would do that, like, because they both had a USB thingy in them. The Yamaha didn't play FLAC or 24-bit, but it could play, wave files at least. 44, 16, and 48, 16 wave files it could play, but it couldn't play FLAC, but it could play YouTube videos put on a flash drive, and it would just play the audio off of them. It could do that, but it couldn't play FLAC. And it didn't have gapless, so that was super annoying. Which this has all that, and it plays pretty high bitrate FLACs. It plays up to like some high number, higher, as high as most people will need. What was I going to say? I don't know. Okay, this is the Florida Skyline album I was trying to summon out of my meat brain. It's called Anesthesia by Florida Skyline. I forget which track that is, but that's the track name. She's an artist from Russia, actually, not from Florida, and she's dead now. Possibly for being transgender in Russia, because they really don't like that over there. They're like super bigots over there. They get our bigots just outmatched with bigotry. Anyways, it's really tragic. It's really tragic. I was watching, what was it, Short Circuit 2. I love that movie as a child, and I just love it even more now as an adult, because I think, like, if there was I think, like, what made Johnny 5 was, like, it was like the lightning bolts contain, like, the spark that was there at the beginning of the universe. So we got, like, pure consciousness essence. And it somehow went into his computer body, and it like got caught in some kind of technology in there. Like he had some kind of component where it, like some capacitors or something, where the pure consciousness energy that was in the lightning bolt, it was able to, like, through a special combination of just the way those robots were built, it was able to gain consciousness in the robot, and it's a real life form. It's a real life form, Morty. It's got a soul. It's got consciousness. It's walking around, it's learning things, it's discovering its identity. And it's like, I was watching Short Circuit 2, and I'm thinking to myself, man, we kill our own kind that are just a little different than slightly different than me. Like the Russians and the whoever, what do you call it, not the Palestinians, the Russians and the Ukrainians, they're just killing each other now. They're basically the same people. They're the same people, and we're just killing each other. So yeah, we really wouldn't like some pure consciousness from a lightning bolt that went to some capacitors and all that. We aren't going to accept that kind of life form. We kill our own. And it's just sad. It has nothing to do with any of this. It's just a really good album. This album, albums like this, like the way I described it, it's got the DSP, it's crossing with the subwoofer at 60 hertz. You can turn it up real loud with this. You can turn, like, albums like this, you can turn it all the way up to 0. Maybe turn it down like -4, -5 or something like that. And listen to it pretty loud through the whole thing and it'll handle it pretty well. But generally, most albums have frequencies when you try to play them loud that, like most bass music kind of like albums you want to play loud with a subwoofer, it'll play a bass frequency that this little subwoofer won't like. But this album, for whatever reason, it's gold. It's the best it ever sounded on this system with the DSP with a sub like that. I'm gonna listen to it some more and maybe have some more thoughts before we delete all this other stuff and just have just the 580's on the floor further back and try them with, with a ear level. See if they're being in the ear level but like far away solves the problem of making veins on my head explode or whatever was happening to me where I almost died. Okay, let's do more listening. This shit slaps, bro. It's playing real loud. That's how loud it is playing through the wall. Of course, the problem is it's still going to get really hot playing that loud. Like the speaker's still playing down to 60 hertz. It's still requiring a lot of juice to do that. It's still going to get really hot. Not as hot as it would be if you're playing full range bass to that though. But still, you're going to have to run the air conditioning. That's the problem with Billy. It gets really hot and people are going to shove it inside a thing where it can't get air, let alone have the air conditioning spray down on it. it always makes the lighting or like the video processing, like right when you're about to record the video, it's bright, but then when you start recording, it makes it dark. It's like if you could point the camera like this, it kind of, I don't know, it's stupid. You're not losing focus. Hold on, I'm gonna have to change my light bulbs or something. But first, let me insert a thing here of just pictures of how these kind of evolved, grew on different stands and different stuff. And perhaps a video too, showing them on the stands that I was using before I had them on the subwoofer. So I'll cut that all in right now. That still didn't help. Oh well, let's just finish up the video, I guess. So they definitely need to be on stands. It certainly helps a little bit to have them farther back like that, but they need to be in like a 9-foot triangle. Like this is more like a 10-foot triangle now because they're further back. But they need to be on stands when they have the compression driver. Does that make it brighter? I swear it makes a bright picture when you're looking in the preview viewfinder when you're about to start the video, and then you start the video and it's like it's recording it dark now. So annoying. Anyways, like I was listening to music for a while and it was definitely a little bit harsh. Like it was gonna then I wish I would have wrote down what music it was that was making my head pulsate. It was like making a vein on my head pulsate, and I literally thought I was gonna die. I was like, well, this is it. But I lived. And when I was listening, I would like stand up like this, and the high frequencies weren't as harsh. So these speakers, they definitely do have the problem if you can't use them near field, which was so lovely about the 570's and the 590's. I think it really does have something to do with them not being a 2.5 way. It's doing something. Definitely being on. I wouldn't recommend ever using them with the tweeter ear level. Like I could like make my couch higher, do anything as long as you're above the tweeter, or you're like laying on the ground like this, where you're like in a beanbag. That would even help, as long as you're above or below the tweeter level being at ear level. And like I was saying, the certain songs that I know the 590's can handle that the 570's can't, these also can't. So it's like there's no reason to step up to them. Either step all the way up to the 590's or just rock the 570's. And they would all sound better with driving better equipment, but I've used all 3 towers in here, like I said, and these are the worst performing still. Like when I put the 570's, I put the 570's like this, and I put the 590's like this. When the 590's like this, they were like really shoved in the corner. It was making stuff like vibrate throughout the house. It was like doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And the 570's, when I used them here, like this, like the 570's never had this kind of like harshness from the tweeter being at ear level problem. Like I don't know why these exactly have that. At some point, I'd like to get the other towers and set the other towers up next to them, and that way, and use the switch box as biamped. That way I can switch, like use the 590 bass drivers with the 580's compression driver, you know what I mean? And that way, because like when I was using just the high frequency horns with the N28s, the kind of it's 2.5 way being kind of, so there's definitely something to that. I think the woofers, they make it harsh because they're throwing in all those high frequencies, and then it's clashing with what the horn is doing, and it makes it harsh like that. But yeah, definitely, you got it. And that's the thing that's stupid. It's like if I put them on stands anyways, then just get the 570's and put the 570's on stands. Well, let me show a picture of the 570's on stands, I guess. Well, let's end the video. This is Unatco from the Deus Ex soundtrack playing. Some other things I could try that I'm too lazy to would be to, since they have adjustable feet, what I could do is like make the front feet taller, so kind of have a tilt, like tilt the speaker up effect. That might kind of help with the harshness. And the bass kind of slams more for sure for being close to the walls like that, but they still don't hit like the 590's do. The 590's hit with confidence. The bass on these, they kind of hit like the internal volume of the cabinet and the port geometry is not like quite perfect. It kind of like does stuff with all the different ways I've had that position here. There's something kind of not right with the bass response. The 570's and the 590's is just better for real. You shouldn't buy these. Like I said, maybe I would recommend buying 3 of them if you're gonna have a perforated projection screen. You're gonna have an amp like that. You were gonna be able to adjust the position of them. They might do well like behind a perforated screen, because maybe that extra, oomph, in mid-bass oomph would be like help it get through the perforated screen better. So I don't know. The 570's are just so much smaller, and they don't have all the problems these do, and they got much juicier bass. Get the 570's instead of these, or the 590's if you want to really step it up.